All right, I'm back, and there is a reason. There's actually another reason that'll become apparent later as to why I picked this game. Um, but this is just the usual. The first thing we gotta do is, make sure the system works. Load a game.
Resident Evil.
Oh, hey, it works with the Rumble Pack. No.
The American Midwestern town, Raccoon City.
That's nice. No. No one. Yeah, no one can hear you on my stream, by the way. I should, let me see if I can fix that. Don't worry, I'll fix that. Why is it? Is it just pause? What the hell? There it goes. Sorry, I messed up my... No, it's not. Like I said, it'll make more sense, it'll make more sense towards the end of the stream. Right now, I'm just having problems with, like, first, my chat window keeps getting docked on OBS, which is really annoying because I don't want it docked. Nice. Let's see which. Okay, can you talk again? There we go. Thank you. I'm trying to add you to your audio to my stream. I think that's the right one. Okay, now you're on my stream. Say hello to Kakashi, everyone! Yay! And hold on, now you're off my stream for a moment because I had to add the... Because I don't have everything set up the way I normally do. It's, I had to add I had to add it manually to every scene. I will eventually get better at my setup here, but I didn't bother to copy from the old computer, which is what I should have done. Yeah. Well, normally I use people can't hear your side of it right now again. Normally I use what am I trying to say? I use like nested scenes, so I set up kind of like a few base things and then everything has and then the other, so like I would have like a base scene that would have all have the Discord audio in it already, and so if I had added it to just the base scene, it would all work. So now everyone should hear you on all of these. So there we go. But it's the usual amateur hour. I don't care about this. I've actually never played this one.
I've never beaten it, but I've played it.
But these controls are so weird. Not what I want. I just want... What do I do? Jeez. The controls are weird.
You don't die, Sean. You don't do. Just don't die.
That's
why this one has been begged for like an actual remake.
Because the controls are this bad?
Fucking terrible. It's a great story, it's a great game. It's not playable.
It's like controlling an RC car with the worst view possible. And I don't... How do I get out of this cell? Oh, it works with a D-pad at least. That's a lot easier than the thumbstick. But
Sounds
like
like you're deep at it.
B takes me to this, and I don't know. I don't think I have any. I have a lighter.
Good old that is an OG joke on Resident Evil to have a lighter. You at least have something, right? It gave you
I
something.
guess, man. But like, the triggers don't. I would have expected I could get out of this room, you know? This cell. It looks like there's a person there. I can run. Wow. Okay, I feel like a complete idiot. But I have no idea what is... Oh, there we go. If you were equipped with a lighter, I could... If I were... So, I have a lighter.
You can see, and then you can then find your way out.
Well, the controls are kind of odd, honestly. Equip. Okay, now I'm equipped. Oh my god!
You did it! You're a natural, Sean.
Well, that's enough for now because we got stuff to do so we can get on to Halo.
He said that's enough for now. But it works. It ran. It launched.
Yeah.
You figured out how to give Claire a lighter.
She had the lighter all along.
She just didn't know how to put it in her own hand.
This is like
It's like that meme with Link where he looks at his branch. And it's like, it's a branch!
like thanks game. Alright. So
I started. Go ahead.
yeah, so this system also has a TerraOnion mode in it. We're actually so I take off my broadband adapter. So this is one of the things I got I got so lucky just finding it in Game Force. I don't even see these on eBay very often. It's a broadband adapter, not the modem, because in the US they all came with modems. In Japan they didn't even come with the modem. But you can still play Quake 3, I think it is, online with a keyboard and mouse if you have the broadband adapter. So I got the broadband.
You said you were gonna do that.
I know. But we got to play Halo after this, right? I mean, I guess I could after we finish this play Quake. I don't know how long it's going to take to figure out the online for it. But I mean, I
thought that was the surprise, was you were gonna test Quake as your
that would be cool. But no, that wasn't what I was thinking of. Because I'd rather get...
that broadband is basically like with the Xbox 360 side.
Yeah, I mean it's the same type of networking as built into the well, you can get a broadband adapter for the GameCube. It's like that. GameCube also had an optional modem.
Okay, I just remember that for the 360, you could have like an Ethernet cord, or you could have like this weird thing you could plug in via USB.
Oh yeah, I actually have the USB, one of the USB Wi-Fi adapters for one of my 360s. The rest of the 360s all have built-in Wi-Fi. I only have 5 fucking 360s.
Yeah, you know, one of them's got to be old enough to not have built-in Wi-Fi because they did it when they first started.
Well, the one I got from Japan, oddly enough, is the old one. It does not appear to be like one of the crappy ones. Because it has HDMI, so it's not the very first, but it's the original design, but it's new enough to have HDMI.
Which is funny because I have the exact same kind. I have the original HDMI / RGB cords. It actually has like the little notch on it where you switch between where you select what section you're selecting on it.
So, so this Dreamcast already has the mode in it, like I mentioned. I've already replaced the battery. It had a system battery here originally that was a rechargeable soldered-in system battery. So I replaced that with a rechargeable battery that's in a battery holder, so I just pop it out. And if I played it regularly, it would stay charged instead of being like, "Hey, what time is it?" But at least when the battery dies, unlike a PS4 or an X or some of the other stuff, it doesn't just quit playing until it gets on the network. That's the curse of the new consoles right there. Yeah, the mode's pretty interesting because this actually works. You have to get one extra little piece, but this actually works in the PlayStation 1 as well. But honestly, the X Station I feel like I like the X Station a little better for the PlayStation 1. The mode's fantastic, but the X Station's just a little, I think, given that there's not some of the special features that are on the mode for the Dreamcast are not, and the Saturn aren't actually available for the PS1. I feel like it's not worth getting the mode for the PS1. Like as you've seen, like going through the menus, it has the what am I trying to say? I can talk really. It has the cover art on the Saturn and the Dreamcast. And while that's kind of slow and not the most performant, it's still neat. But I don't think the mode gets cover art on the PS1. And unless you have this like compelling desire to put every version of every PS1 game on your system at once, just on like just putting them all on like a giant SSD inside of your PS1, I don't think that the mode's really really any better than the X Station. It definitely costs more. But for the Dreamcast and the Saturn, it's definitely the best option. Come on.
I can see that. Okay, that makes sense. Just because of the nature of how fast they process the game, really.
Yeah, I mean it's just that I don't know. I think the X Station is just cheaper but there's no real feature loss unless you really want to use an SSD instead of a SD card, and these systems can't load as fast as an SD card can load, let alone an SSD. I mean, they're old systems, you know?
Right.
Fantastic systems, but they are old.
But they are just a little dated, and it's funny. Concrete technology can't really change, like when it comes to stuff like that.
It's unreal how much things have changed. Like the first computer that my family had was a 286. Well, I had to take a lot of stuff out here. It was a 286. And I believe that thing had like on the CPU for it, I think it had something on the order of like 60,000 transistors. And I mean that thing's like a 45-year-old computer these days. But the CPU anyway is about a 40 no, not it's about a 40-year-old CPU. But now we have consumer reasonably priced CPUs that have over 1 billion transistors on them. And if you take into account inflation, just the cost differential between what a computer costs then versus now is just absolutely unreal.
the price point of computers from when you were growing up to how they are now.
I think it
Just
used.
for the-
I think that 286 was like $3,000 back in the 80s.
Damn.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's more expensive than any computer I've personally bought.
What are you pulling off right there?
So I removed the controller connector, which is interesting because this controller connector thing has that battery I was talking about, and it has the this little kind of thing, this little roundish thing that's like the same color as the board, is a automatically resetting circuit breaker. So that is in place of a fuse because from the factory, Dreamcasts all have a fuse in case the controllers try to pull too much power so it protects the system. Problem is, it's actually not all that hard to pop that fuse if you are using, certain accessories. Sometimes things just happen and it pops the fuse, and then you had to open it up and resolder everything. Unsolder the fuse and solder in a new fuse, or you can do what I did and proactively remove the fuse and put in an automatically resetting circuit breaker, which is all that little yellow thing was. And then if it pops the circuit breaker, you just turn the system off. Turn off the power, turn it, wait for like 10 seconds and turn it back on, and everything's fine again.
Yeah. Ingenious.
Yeah, I mean, I can't take credit for this stuff. Other people figured it out, and I just read about it. And then I said, I have to have everything perfect on my Dreamcast. And here we are.
The Dreamcast is a solid console, man.
It really was. It is
It
such
had a very large library of games. Sorry, you gonna say?
Yeah, it's really a shame that it did not get more of a following in the U.S.
Do you think it was just poorly marketed?
Oh, Sega had a lot of mistakes leading up to the Dreamcast, and that caused I think that was a lot of why it didn't succeed. Is really just Sega's failings. To be honest. I'm just trying to get this disconnected. There we go. So, oh crud! I had to desolder some stuff to remove the old board from here. That's annoying. All right. Well, that's fine. I need to grab. Grab a little crescent wrench real quick. So the history of Sega, I don't think it was necessarily bad marketing. I think what it really is alienating their customers. Just pissing off customers a few too many times. And of course, Sony didn't help them because Sony, so you had essentially back on the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis era of gaming, you had so Sega had brought out the Sega CD, and you probably knew that. But the full history is basically Sega brought out the Sega CD, and Nintendo was going to bring out a CD-ROM upgrade for the Super Nintendo, or at least they said they were going to. And the only pictures that anyone ever saw of the Super Nintendo CD setup was actually an all-in-one Super Famicom, the Japanese Super Nintendo, and again, you probably know that, but I in case anyone's watching the stream later, I'm just kind of making sure I cover everything. So it was the Super Famicom with a CD-ROM drive all in one that had Sony and Nintendo co-branding and was called the PlayStation. So the original PlayStation was Sony building a Super Nintendo with a CD-ROM drive. So it had a cartridge slot. It hooked up to it. It had a cartridge slot. It ran Super Famicom games, and pretty damn cool idea. Like, we were all pretty stoked about it. We thought this thing was going to come out, and like holy crap, we're going to get like Super Mario Brothers with CD power. It would have been so amazing. But and this is related to Sega in a moment, but the Nintendo story is really important here relative to the Sega story, because part of Sega's problems, of course, is the PlayStation 1. And the reason the PlayStation 1 exists is because Nintendo was supposed to be building this console with Sony. Sony wanted to build an all-in-one console, and Nintendo only wanted the add-on. Only. And so Nintendo got kind of upset. And then what Nintendo did next is one of the, I think, is probably the only thing that was dumber than what Nintendo did next was Atari not willingly marketing the 2600 in the U.S. Not the 2600, the NES in the U.S. Because just a side note is Nintendo was actually afraid of Atari back in the 80s when they were getting ready to try to release the Famicom in the U.S. and they actually offered Atari full rights for Nintendo for the NES in the U.S.
Wow.
And Atari was like, "No, we don't need your system. We make systems." And if you, I know that there's companies called Atari still, but you might notice Atari died.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Atari's dead. Nintendo's obviously still around, but Nintendo's only still around because they managed to not totally screw up. And this gets us back to our story with Sony, and that's this is interesting. I'm going to have to look up some stuff here. Oh, I see what I need to do. Okay. I think this new model has an extra flex ribbon that I can install so that these wires don't have to be permanently attached to the board. So I might need to go look up those instructions. But anyway, because I kind of want to use this since it's here. And I also kind of want to, I also want to have this kit just ready to go for someone else later. But the other flex is the exact same, supposedly. Damn well better be, because otherwise I'm going to have there's no way I'm removing the other flex if I don't have to. Yeah, this one's the exact same. I remember them saying that it was just a drop-in replacement, basically, but apparently it's not quite a drop-in replacement, but that's okay. That's not the point right now. So I'm going to bring up my computer. So anyway, so back to Sega. Or back to Nintendo first. So Nintendo didn't like what Sony wanted to do. And so out of nowhere at one of the trade shows, I don't remember if it was E3 or CES or what it was, but at one of the trade shows, they actually said Nintendo, without telling Sony first, announced their partnership with Philips. And with Philips, they made the horrible CDI system, which was like an edutainment system that has the worst Zelda and Mario games ever made officially made on that system. Games that Nintendo really wishes you would forget. Games that I owned at one point and only wish I still owned purely because they are worth so much money now. They're like $200-300 a piece now. I got them for like $3 or $5, something like that, brand new. back when Philips had an outlet store in Silverthorne. Um, Terrible games, though. I mean, you would never want to actually play them, ever. Oh, crap. One of these wires came off anyway. So that pissed off Sony, of course, because they handled it so unprofessionally. So Sony's like, all right, we're going to go make our own system. And that's a big part of the problem for Sega, because they were at the same time making their own bad decisions. So Sega of America said, "Hey, we need this like stopgap system enhancement between the Genesis and the upcoming Sega Saturn." And Sega of Japan didn't really like that, but they ended up going with it anyway. I'm not completely sure why, but they did. They went with it anyway, and they released the 32X, which was pretty wonky to program for as well. I don't know how many games really unleashed the full power of that system, but that said, it was pretty. I mean, like, I have a 32X. There's a few good games on it, but nothing that justifies making it. And then less than a year, maybe a year after the 32X was released as a $200 add-on to the Genesis, a system they already had like a $300 or $400 add-on at one point for the CD system, which they later dropped the price of. They later got the CD system down to like $200, I think. So basically, you've got to have a fully loaded Sega Genesis back in the day. Could easily be $400, $500, $600, $700 to have all three pieces. So right after they released the 32X, which not a lot of people bought, they then released the Saturn with no prior announcement. It was just there was like, it's $400 and it's released today. And I feel like, what?
Okay.
Resellers had, so this is where the really bad marketing was, that they had kind of fatigued people on purchases for the 32X and how bad it was. And because that kind of left a bad taste in people's mouth. And this new console is $400. It came out so quickly with really poor marketing. People didn't pick it up quickly. And to make matters worse, I think it was the same day Sony comes onto the stage to announce the PS1. And while it wasn't available the same day, they announced it by going $299 and left the stage. So this 3D capable system, and mind you, the reason the Saturn was so complicated was because they heard these rumors that the PS1 was going to be 3D capable. So they made it harder to code for, so they had enough power, added power, but in a way that made it harder to code for because they couldn't go back to the drawing board. So it was harder to code for, still less 3D capable, and $100 more expensive than the PlayStation. And while Sony was a newcomer, everyone's still newcomer to the games industry. They were already making computers and TVs and stuff. People knew who Sony was. I mean, even if the Betamax was a failure, people knew who Sony was. So that really caused a lot of problems for them. They struggled that entire generation. And when the Dreamcast came out, it came out before the PS2 by a full year in both the US and Japan. And it was a great system, but people were a little skeptical to go for it, especially by the time it came to the US, because by the time it released in the US, the PS2 had released in Japan, and people knew PS2 had all this other stuff, including a DVD player. And when the PS2 released in the US for $100 more than the Dreamcast at $300, but with a DVD player built in, and DVD players were often $300 at that time or more. You're like, wait, I can instead of buying a Dreamcast, I don't have a DVD player. I want DVD instead of VHS. So instead of getting a DVD player or a Dreamcast, I can get a PlayStation 2 with DVD that plays with DVDs. So that crushed them right there.
Yeah. Funny how impactful the DVD era was.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
Jesus.
do you remember using VHS tapes at all?
Yes, I do. I grew up with beautiful little Disney movies as a 90s kid. Yeah. but not for very long.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was like my whole childhood, but I did.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. I mean DVD was, I forget what year you were born, but I think DVD was may have already been out when you were born. But it was expensive at first. It was expensive at first. That was a part, like I said, that's part of why the PlayStation did so well was because it had the built that PS2 did so well is because it had the built-in DVD player.
That's why PS3 did so well, was because it had the built-in Blu-ray player.
It didn't do well at first though. It helped though that it had the built-in Blu-ray player, especially because Microsoft didn't have HDMI at the start, and Microsoft also not only did Microsoft not have HDMI at the beginning with the 360, although it was still a good move for them to go out early, especially because they handled the Red Ring of Death issue about as well as anyone could. But the thing was, Microsoft went with the HD DVD standard, and they did not upgrade to Blu-ray, and so yeah, I definitely think that mattered quite a bit for some people. But honestly, the 360 and the PS3 both did extremely well. It was, what was it? That was an interesting generation because the Wii was part of that generation, right?
Okay.
I was trying to think. GameCube, Xbox, and PS2 are one generation, so Wii came out after. So that was just actually like a crazy awesome generation. Actually, Sony lagged for a lot of that because the PS3 was so expensive and
the Wii came out in 2006. The Wii's at the tail end of that era.
Oh wow, yeah.
I was like, the Wii actually came out a little earlier because I was thinking of Resident Evil 4. And I was like, Resident Evil 4 came out on the Wii.
Well, there you go.
And yeah, so even the Wii was a part of that. Yeah, that was a huge era of technology. And it's really funny because I remember my uncle had a PS3 and had a Xbox with the HD DVD player attachment thing that you had to have with it in order to play HD DVDs. And when Blu-ray came out, he's like, "This is so much easier." He's like, "The fuck? This is how it should have been to begin with."
Yeah, I had bought in on the HD DVD madness because, for one thing, I thought they were going to win. They were cheaper. They were less expensive on average, and same video quality at the time. And then the other thing, so something that is, I don't know how true the rumors are, but something that supposedly hurt Beta, and back in the video cassette days, something that hurt Beta and basically gave the win to VHS was that VHS had adult films on it, and Sony had a lot more control over the creation of tapes for stores, of retail cassette video cassettes for Beta than JVC and whoever there. I think it was JVC and some other company that really had a lot to do with VHS originally, but they had made it more open, and adult movies were on that, and they were, which it was like the first time you could bring an adult movie home. I don't know how that worked before. I assume there were like adult movie theaters or something.
Well, there's probably adult movie theaters. And I bet you adult stores were more like back rooms inside the store.
I don't know what an adult store was like back then,
I'm just thinking of like, hey man, you got the goods? Kind of like Resident Evil 4. What are you buying? Sell it. Yes, I'm making another one. And he just holds back a fucking black curtain, and it's just like, oh, sex back here. And they just they just sell it. And they just like, yeah, we got this. We got this.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, it was a different time period, that's for darn sure. All right. Where's this going? This is going here.
Ooh.
You can't see what I'm doing per se. So I took off the wires from the old part to just install the new Flex because it's just going to be a cleaner install. So I might as well do the update the right way, you know? This is a pretty minor thing. This is a lot easier than than the original Flex cable install and everything, so definitely a good thing. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I really thought that because of the adult films and because of the lower price, that HD DVD would win. But basically, it looked pretty likely that it would win. And then Sony made some big deals with studios, just to drive the nail in the coffin of HD DVD, and that was the end of it.
They even address it in Tropic Thunder.
I love that movie.
They fucking address it like so hard, just in a casual conversation. Like, did you realize that, like, the porn industry and Blu-ray discs is kind of like did this thing, and then, like, PlayStation have Blu-rays, and they just look at them like, what? It's just like, yeah, he just addressed that problem in front of America, just so you guys realize. Like, he just addressed that did happen.
That is so great.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to find that clip again because that shit's fucking funny.
I need to watch that movie again. I love that movie.
That movie is astronomical. I didn't realize it's a Ben Stiller project.
Uh-huh.
Like, I didn't realize Ben Stiller came to everybody and was like, guys, I actually have gold. And everybody's like, yeah, you do. Do it. Like, everybody's like, let's fucking do it. Like, and it's what's, I think the funny part is that when the movie came out, nobody was offended. When the movie came out, nobody was offended. Nobody was upset. Had people been offended, I could see when it came out, so many years ago, them apologizing for the film.
Oh,
well,
because there were people offended. We just didn't give a shit back then.
But it wasn't like how it is now. Like, now the amount of people making an offense and blah blah blah, and it's so many years later. It's just like, yeah, don't apologize for this.
He's flat out said he's not apologizing for it.
None of them are, and I love it. I love him. Robert Downey Jr. is not apologizing. He's like, this is not black. Did you watch the movie? Did you watch the movie?
Right.
He goes through a controversial surgery, and then I love it. Success! And he like hugs the doctor and wheels out like as fast as he can in a fucking like, and I think one of the best things is that they address like Robert Downey Jr.'s like drug problem in the movie. Like, yeah. He used to be this way, and now he's a professional actor.
Yep.
They address Ben Stiller's fucking overacting issue, where he made 7 movies about himself.
Oh, it's funny because it's true.
I mean, you can't. I mean, yeah, actually, yeah. Think of anger management and Meet the Fockers. Yeah, oh my god, actually, yeah.
Such good movies, though. I don't think I've
See,
seen Anger
it's
Management.
funny.
Meet the Fockers is so good.
De Niro is in that, correct?
Yes.
I didn't know that was De Niro for the longest time. Like, I knew it was De Niro, and I knew it was De Niro, but when I would, it was like when I was growing up, I didn't know that actors were good at their job. Like, I didn't know that Samuel Jackson was Samuel Jackson for a long time, and then when I got older, I was like, oh, it's the same black guy in all of these. Oh, like, I didn't realize it. You know, when you're a kid, Mace Windu is different than Samuel Jackson. Those are 2 different people when you're a child, okay? Like,
Yeah, Mace Windu is not Shaft.
No. And Shaft is not the guy from Triple X. Those are not the same people. It took me a while to realize. So, yeah, no, that's funny. Thinking about that other actor.
This is just a really tricky spot again. It's damn.
I literally looked and I was like, "Where's that?"
Well, it's another damn test spot. But what's weird is on the version of the motherboard in the instructions, it looks like it has a pad, but on mine it definitely does not have a pad there. It just has a test spot. Like a place to probe for testing reasons.
You have like an updated version.
Well, there's different motherboard revisions on all these consoles, unfortunately. It's just the way of things.
We need more time.
I'm just going to have to rough it up a little bit. This is also actually the exact spot that, you know, when I was disassembling the system, I said one of the wires came loose. This is the exact spot the wire came loose from.
Oh. Well, it looks, I mean, it makes sense why. That's a very complicated spot on the motherboard for sure.
It's just, let me see if I can get it on the microscope again. Because it's this messy looking thing. It's not burned up. That's just old flux. It'd probably help if I cleaned off the flux and put on new flux. But I'm just going to be an idiot and solder more. Because I almost had it before. It's just a really weird spot to attach a flex to, I think.
We need more.
I cannot tell if that's actually on. Let's see what it looks like under the microscope. I think it is soldered. Guess we'll find out. We'll find out when I install everything the rest of the way and it doesn't work. Alright, let me see. Yeah. All right. I think that's. I think we have a connection. If I'm wrong, well, it's gonna suck. And then I'm just looking for It's not gonna suck that badly because it's a pretty simple fix if I didn't get it down good. I'm just looking for Okay, so I just need to bring up that other thing. Okay, so now that part's done, we've got we're gonna go. I'm bringing up my instructions for the harness installation. So we're gonna go from. So let me grab my other harness. Just got notified that my HelloFresh order will be delivered tomorrow.
Nice and fresh.
You know, I like the food, but it takes way too long to prepare it, so I'm not sure I'm going to continue with it. But it is very tasty.
If you have the time to do it, sure.
Not do that.
But it is tedious. You're not one.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem I'm having is I need I'm trying to cut out the thought process of planning meals and make it easy to prep the meals, and they're pretty easy to prep. Except I'm just I just don't have the they're not hard to prep, they're just time consuming, you know. Okay, gotta.
And they are tasty. They do come up with their recipe.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed the food. I just have not enjoyed the time. Okay, so on this one, I need the reset again. So that's the green wire again, and I need switch 1. Switch 1 activates the disk swap functionality. Of course, I don't know how useful that's going to be, given that I don't have that set up correctly, but it's at least easy to install. So it's going to be the green and the red. So I'm going to remove the other wires like I did on the last one.
Not
Yeah, removing those other wires really made this a much cleaner install. Removing the excess ones first is going to make this easier to remove them. They're not always easy to remove. Oh, that's not good. I just bent something there.
of the age. Yeah, God was strong, but stuff here, I not much. Yeah.
So you were at like a music festival last weekend?
Went to a concert.
Nice. How was it?
It was a lot of fun. It's funny. It was like typical winter where like you go in and come out and it's fucking snowing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course, not like they ever have a coat check either.
Oh, no, there was a coat check. It was
Oh,
super
amazing.
long. And on the second night, they decided to completely switch around coat check halfway through the show without anybody knowing. So great. so great. Don't you just love when we do that?
Yeah, I'm like, that's just dumb. Why the hell did they do that?
I was pissed. I was just like, why would you do this to a bunch of people, especially with like a lot of these people on drugs or drunk?
Right?
So when they go in, they're not gonna go the opposite way. They're gonna go the way that they came out. They're not gonna change their route. So
Right.
mess. It's not like they had any signs or anything like that. So the show itself was a lot of fun. I had a blast. The stage show was a lot of fun. I saw a lot of friends. Like, it was probably the most mingling that I've done at a show. Like,
Nice.
ever. So it was good. I spent way too much money.
These things happen, unfortunately.
I wanted to get a bunch of cool merch, and then I unintentionally got. Because I thought you had to get VIP for both nights, and now it's a VIP package depending if you're going to each night, but but it's the same package for both nights. So I basically doubled up on all of my VIP stuff, and I had enough to give all of my friends a +1 of everything. So it kind of worked out. Like,
Nice.
season of giving. I gave everybody stuff. Now I don't do anything. Go away. That's a joke, but it was kind of cool that, like, because one of my buddies was looking at my hat pin, and I was like, "Hey, you want one?" He's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I have an extra one." And it occurred to me that I had an extra of everything, and I was like, "I have one of everything."
So I just realized I actually am only installing one wire on this because the so one of these was to reset the system, like from the controller or whatever, and then go to the menu. But because I have the Dreamcast Digital installed, it handles the in-game reset feature. So I actually only have to solder one wire onto the optional thing on this guy, which that's a good thing. Yeah, so I just had to do that. And that's easy, because that is a nice, big, easy solder spot, right? I'll throw it on the microscope anyway. But this is a very big spot to solder on. Look at the size of that.
Oh wow, yeah, that's what I was like. Is it really that big ass little brass spot? It is.
Relative to soldering points, that one is big.
Making that joke to myself. Don't get overconfident now. Oh, it's like, how do you mess this one up?
How does he do it? How does he mess it up when it's so damn easy? That should be it for soldering stuff.
Yeah, once that RoboCop game goes on sale, because most games go on sale at some point.
Yeah, and these days, honestly, fairly quickly.
Yeah, honestly, within 3 months of a new game coming out, unless you really, really wanted all of the content immediately, or you got like the collector's edition, you can actually wait within 90 days, and your game will probably hit some kind of summer sale, or it's an anime day sale, or it's Capcom sale, or something.
Right, exactly. So now,
I know that if you wait till fucking goddamn December, that's when all of the stuff in Nintendo just is available.
right. So that's the only downside is like Nintendo doesn't put things on sale enough, honestly. They know what they've got.
I was gonna say they don't have to.
Yeah,
That's
more accurately, they know they got us by the balls.
every now and then they'll take one. Every now and then.
Oh, what the? I just locked my computer instead of doing what I was trying to do.
When is the video game at? See, I need to look that up right now. I need to do that research. Yeah, December 7th, okay. Is the video game awards.
This is just interesting. Yeah, that's what I thought. They want me to install this funky vinyl backing to hit the back of the board before I install the board so that it doesn't short on things, which makes sense, but does not want to come up.
Funky is like the cha-cha slide. It's time to get funky.
Dance, dance, revolution! It's a surprisingly frustrating sticker to put on. Okay, there we go. Stickers on. Just gonna. All right, so now with the vinyl backing on, it's safe to install. It's easier to install since they switched that flex cable, which is nice of them. Yeah, I actually got this upgraded board for this quite a while ago, and I just finally am now getting it installed.
Fun part. I mean, it's all been fun, but
It'll be a lot more fun once it's done, because I can show off the other thing that then I can show off the surprise once we're all done with this part. Yeah, it's funny. I constantly hear people like rave about Code Veronica, and it's so expensive now. Like, that game has just gone way up in value, and then I'm playing it for the first time there, and I'm like, wow, these controls are the worst.
I think it's gone up in value because it's one of the few in the era of the remakes that hasn't been remade.
I think you're right, and as soon as it's remade, the value will probably drop, and we've seen that with a lot of games, honestly, where the only reason that it's so expensive is because people really want to play the game. They don't want to emulate it or whatever, and they don't want to illegally download it, and they want to have they just, that's just not what they do, which is fine, whatever. People are going to be people.
Trying to get a modern day experience. No.
Well, that's the thing, is that with an emulator, you can, especially with some of the mods, you can get a little bit more of a modern day experience, but But the fact of the matter is, you know, it requires setup and a decent computer, and some people just don't want to deal with that stuff. You have to know where to get it, and you know, because the last thing you want to do as someone online is tell people where to get that stuff, because that's where they that's one of the places where they really get you. You know.
That's like usually just word of mouth.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get these. Just gotta get this other thing open for the flex cable. Never want to force those things. If they break, you're screwed. All right. We are connected. Now I'm just trying to route these wires the way they were before. There we go. All right. Everything's in place there. It's the fan connector that fell back to where it wasn't supposed to be. Now we're good. Okay, what can I get connected here to test before I close everything up?
It really is fun watching you.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm gonna... With this one, I actually think I can get things kind of just sort of put together and then test it and then pull it apart and screw it permanently together again.
Not good? Not bad? Yeah, let's good. Thank you.
It'd be really nice if I remembered how this was in here in the first place. I think that's how it was. Yeah, that looks probably right. The problem with not having enough space on the desk. I gotta figure out where I... Oh, it's right there in front of me. Jeez. Ugh. Had to find this monstrosity. I don't think that's where that was, but that's okay. I just want to kind of protecting me from shocking myself. And gotta have a controller. All right. Good old dead battery and the VMU sound. I hope my battery's not toast. That's good enough. Okay, got something started. Just want to get it running. While it's doing its thing, I just wanted to check what that command was again to bring up the on-screen display. Left trigger, D-pad right, B. Oh good, that worked. And then reset is left trigger, right trigger, A, B, start. Reset.
Four-wheel thunder!
Did that work? I don't know that reset worked. Although it might not be working at this moment. Not good. Reset does not seem to be working. Oh no, the reset worked from there. It has to be hooked up correctly or that reset would not have worked. Might just be some options that have to be set. So the first thing I need to do here, I just need to check that, okay, so on-screen interface, system, optional pin should be, I think that. Okay, yeah, so I think that's the one I want. The ODE lid button switch. Because the other one is the reset. So I think that's the one we want. Gonna run the, gonna get this thing on Wi-Fi. It's kind of crazy. It's like the stuff being installed goes on Wi-Fi. Using your cell phone.
All of that.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts on the on my PS1. I think the X Station and the and the PS1 digital and the memory card I have all have Wi-Fi on them. Okay, we got Wi-Fi. Great startup sound again. Trying to think of any other multi-disc games, but they all seem to be in separate folders, which kind of stinks. D2. Another expensive one. All right. Good. Okay, so the in-game reset is working from the controller, so everything is soldered in correctly, it looks like. Okay, so I can now switch. I can now do the disc switch definitely from this. I just don't have this. I don't think I have my game list, my games in folders correctly, so that's something I might have to deal with later. I'm gonna at least mostly reassemble this for now, though. Why is it?
Don, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Oh, fuck. Okay. I was gonna say, do you have game Virtual Cop too?
I don't know if it works without the light gun, which I can't use with my current setup, but I probably have it. That's on Dreamcast, right?
Let me double check if that's the name of the game, Sean.
Well, there is a Virtua Cop. I'm pretty sure that's Sega.
Yes, it was on like a big Sega. Yep, Virtua Cop 2.
It's probably on here.
It is a light gun arcade game. You're not wrong, but I had like this big old Sega.
Oh, that might be on Saturn.
No, I had it on the Sega Dreamcast. On my Dreamcast. Was it a retro Dreamcast? It was a retro Dreamcast.
That's weird because I don't seem to have it. There it is. For Japan, I have it. Powered by Windows CE.
Holy cow! Yeah, what does that even say?
Yep, I remember that sound. Yep, yes, sir. Oh my god, dude, I feel like I'm 7 again.
Yeah, this system came out right as I was going to college.
You know, I want a light gun for this now. See, it's in English. There's no chapter. Let's go. Let's go.
I wonder if it works with the mouse.
Sean, we need to play this together next time I come over. And I need to
School you in some Virtua Cop 2. Be right.
Reload!
Yeah, you just hit that reload button every time you shoot.
Oh, I actually could just tap both of them constantly.
Oh, don't shoot him!
Sorry, dude.
Don't shoot!
This is hilarious, though, because I can just keep spamming both buttons. I'm never running out of ammo. I'm almost dead, though.
Yeah, you be accurate with your unlimited ammo, sir. You can't just spray it in the air.
Reload!
Ah, alright.
It worked, though. You have it?
It worked.
It's fun.
Alright. Now to get this thing, now to get this put back together. Alright, we have disconnected power. Switch back to the desk mode, desk view. Take out the stuff I had to get out of the way so I can put it back together. And I gotta look, I definitely have to look to see what I'm doing wrong with the multi-disc games, because I have a feeling that they are supposed to be in the same folder and are not, which I actually should probably just fix now, because I can. Like, this is the one thing I don't like about the mode. I mean, I was talking about some of the pros and cons for the PS1, but honestly, I really like the mode for the Dreamcast and the Saturn. But the one thing I don't like about it is it doesn't have any sort of management capability for the games like built into it. There's no way to, with the SSD sitting in the system all screwed in tight, there's no way to do anything about the games that are on the SSD. And they don't have 2 terabyte SD cards yet. So that's a little bit of a bummer that it's so hard to get games organized on it. I thought they were going to put out an update. To enable, basically to enable getting the what was I going to call it? Taking a game from an SSD card and copying it back or forth from the hard drive. But as of yet, I don't think they've put out any such update. I can at least do the firmware update from the SD card, though. And it's kind of a bummer, just because there's been so many translation patches that have been coming out for Dreamcast and Saturn games lately that were never released here. But it's okay. Eventually they'll probably fix that. I'm just going to look up real quick before I put this back together, though. Like I said, what I need to do to rearrange those games so that the multi-disc games are easier to deal with. Unfortunately, I have a handy-dandy hard drive dock, so it's really easy for me to just plug it into the computer. Okay.
Home Depot. Lines are up. Home Depot. 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 Home Depot.
Okay, I see how I can do this. There's 2 ways of doing the multi-disc. One way is you put them all in the same folder, and the other way is you just hold the A button instead of pressing the A button, and it'll let you just do what you need to do. If I turn this dock on, there we go. That's weird. My drive came up and then it disappeared. It's not cool. I think I'm just going to leave it as is rather than take the time right now. I can mess with that another time. Now that I know how to do it without rearranging my folders. I just forgot how to do it 'cause it's been so long. So now I'm just going to put everything back together. And then we move on to the next test and then a surprise. Yay. I can't really hear you. We're on to reassembly at least. I love how the board's like Sega 1999. Actually means it's a revision, a slight revision, because this came out in '98 in Japan. Okay. Yeah, that's how that went. Okay. Just gotta get all these screws in place. Maybe tomorrow I'll do the PlayStation 2 digital install, the HDMI output for that.
You have the motivation, finally. I know it kind of sucks that it takes a bunch of.
I definitely don't have it in me to do it today. This has been long enough. I just have a lot of mods to do. It's hard to hear you again, by the way.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting the. Like I said, I don't have it in me today. It's just, it's as you know, you've seen me install from scratch the full HDMI installs. It's a lot more work than what I've done for both these consoles combined today. So I'm not gonna do that today, even though I'd like to. I just don't have it in me. But I'm really looking forward to I am really looking forward to having HDMI output on a PS2, playing some Shadow Hearts with HDMI. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you know that game?
Yes, I know that game.
Yeah.
There's a whole PS2 era that I just missed out on.
Well, I will tell you, I mean, not that I'm endorsing any such thing that I'm about to talk about, but it is extremely easy to install a hard drive in a PS2.
I remember you mentioning that, I believe, in chat once.
Yeah, it's probably one of the easiest systems to do that on. It's easy. Actually, I shouldn't say it probably. I know it is the easiest system to do that on.
Legit experience.
Well, it's not my fault. They don't sell these old games anymore, you know?
Yes, it is 100% your fault, Sean. Every time a game stops being sold, I have to call you and yell about why my game stock is just disappearing.
No, it's just my fault the GameStops are disappearing.
GameStops have slowly become like 30% games and 70% a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I know why I know they bought ThinkGeek because they wanted to get more into the merchandise stuff, but I'm really disappointed with the direction they went after that. I don't really understand why they bothered buying ThinkGeek with what they've done since.
Like when I go to Hollywood Video, I know for a fact that I'm gonna get a Hollywood Video. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. I found my Hollywood Video and Blockbuster cards like 5 years ago. I took pictures of them and threw them away, though.
This like a picture will last longer than this card.
Well, yeah, basically. I just didn't really feel like keeping track of junk, but I know some people like are big on, oh, I've got my original card still, and it's like, that's great. I don't begrudge anyone for that, but it's not my thing to keep doing that.
Am I playing fucking duos right now?
What?
I'm playing Fortnite, and I think I'm playing duo solo player. I'm playing against teams of two by myself, Sean.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
It makes it so I have more targets, but it makes it harder for me.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier and harder. I didn't do it on purpose. That's why I had to react for that.
I didn't think you did it on purpose. All right, almost done here.
If there's any game that I play free for all in where I want to be the only person on a team and everybody else is the enemy, it's called Infection in Halo.
Yeah, my daughter wants to play Halo with me.
Oh my goodness! Now that is some quality father-daughter time. I'll tell you what. Tell you what.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gotta see if I can get the whole family to do like a Halo campaign on split screen.
You just I mean, worst comes to worst is you have 2 Xboxes, 2 people playing on 1 Xbox. We play on it. It's like, ha.
Yeah. Well,
You should be able to-
no, you can do 4-player split screen, I think, on Halo 3 and ODST. I think 4 and 5 as well. As you know, Infinite has no split screen. I remember for a while they said they weren't going to do co-op campaign. But fortunately, they backpedaled on that.
That was the best backpedal ever. We were pissed, and all of a sudden they're like, "We're gonna do it," and we were like, "Yes." Speaking of co-op campaign, sir, we need to finish our run.
Yes, I agree. I'm
There's
almost
also
done here. There we go.
there's also a trophy achievement where in the campaign, I think we have to ride around in like a mongoose killing things together. We should, like, we should do that.
Here we go.
It's such a good-looking disc, like aesthetically, like disc tray and everything.
All right.
One good family game we played was Sega Swirl. Sega Swirl was a fun family game.
Yeah, let's see. I'm worried my rechargeable battery is not recharging anymore.
Damn Sega sounds. So now is it for the surprise?
Almost. So this is how I deal with the multi-disc for now. Now I can
That's
just
like when you
launch.
have a
Oh,
college
launch.
or a school party. And you're like, we're gonna have pizza. Everybody's there. Like, what's the pizza? They're just like, can you wait? Like, I only came for pizza, bro.
I mean, why wouldn't you have only come for pizza?
You're the one hosting the meeting.
All right. So
Why do I know this sound? Why do I know this sound? Fuck. Why do I know that? Oh, it sounded like the opening to a different video game.
oh, I think this is set wrong for.
Vector Man. Vector Man is the name of the video game. I haven't seen that setting screen in years.
Yeah, and generally the setting screen doesn't show up that much.
That setting screen vaguely, I think, influenced the setting screen on the DS.
Yeah, I think I
I'm
have to
just
just
playing.
configure something here.
Excuse me.
It's just kind of weird because like it definitely is doing what it's supposed to be doing, but it's not. But then it comes to here and decides that it doesn't have a disk in there, which doesn't make any sense.
That is quite strange.
Yeah. We'll just install a new firmware. That'll probably take care of some of that. Alright, while that is installing, let me get some of this stuff out of the way. My desk is a mess. But I don't need any of this stuff for the mods anymore. One day I will have a workbench like in the garage. I'll make this stuff so much easier because it can just stay kind of set up.
That is the thing about able to workbenches.
Yeah,
If you're using it all the time, it kind of just stays how it is.
right. Just makes it a lot easier. But right now, it's just not a thing.
You know what? That's okay.
Yeah,
You got a lot. You got a lot on your plate right now, Sean.
yeah, mostly work and kids, which is a lot, but it's it does not help that I am sore absolutely everywhere right now from the vaccines yesterday. Like, I do not like getting up and moving right now.
Oh, that's no fun.
No, I got 3 vaccines yesterday at once. Well, but the thing is that any of them can make you feel pretty miserable, so I figured it's better just do them all at once, have a rough weekend, and not have to do any more for a year.
And human bodies. You think vaccine.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to an industry conference soon. And the thing is, like, the last thing I want to do while I'm at the industry conference is, there's just so many people. It's like a cesspool of disease when anytime you go to any sort of convention, as you know from working so many conventions.
Yeah, Concred.
Yeah, I mean, it's not limited to any particular type of convention. I mean, it's
It's only anime convention, Sean. If you go to a music convention or you go to a conference, you get vaporized or you get abducted by aliens. But if you go to an anime convention, you're just gonna get sick.
I broke my battery. Drop it.
go to an anime convention, you're just gonna.
You know the big one we bought, remember, a long time ago? We bought in Amazon. They never been worked. They
Yeah,
said, according and when you buy to Amazon, you can return even because they have an exchange. You know, they said they can, but this one no, I didn't buy this in Amazon, but this one I make it, and it's really good for. Let's see, I dropped it on the wood. Just I just charger this thing, and it's good when you.
Okay. Desk is back to normal. With my Evangelion, test mat. Okay, so and the firmware is updated. Mark that as valid.
You're at updated firmware.
All right. Just reading the game list here.
6 p.m. tonight is the new Attack on Titan episode special thing.
How many more episodes are there? Isn't it almost? It's
I
almost
think it's
done.
the last- I think it's the finale. This is it.
Interesting.
8 years later. I was living in Montbello with my cousins when this show came out. And it's like it'd be different if 8 years later was like 8 seasons, but 8 years later and it's like 4 seasons, kind of. It just,
Yeah.
took forever.
I hear ya. I'm gonna do if I can find a memory card. I need to update the firmware on this thing so it works correctly. That one thing with the reset's really irritating. Fortunately, I have a bunch of memory cards. Almost there.
Oh my god, it's a white guy on the computer.
I'm just seeing what firmware I actually have on this thing. Did I not get... Am I not plugged in? What the heck? That's strange. That's really strange. It was fine before. I'm really confused now, because it was... Everything was working. It's turning on. That is really strange. I've just like lost the connection. That's not really making sense.
Was it right after the firmware updated?
No, because it was working after the firmware updated. I turned it off so I could do the other firmware update for the mode. But it was definitely working with the firmware update for the HDMI piece. trying a different monitor so I can knock some stuff out of the loop here. Wow. That's really concerning. Ah, man. I'm gonna try one other thing. Thought I had another mini HDMI to HDMI adapter. Thought I would try that in case that was the problem.
But you don't push it, but
Well, I thought I had two, but I'm not finding the other one in any of the boxes, any of the bins it should have been in. This is very strange.
that does work.
I have no idea what has happened here, though.
You just gave out on you. Technology just stopped working on the account.
Something. I mean, it was all good. It was all completely working.
How about that? I thought you would say he was all pitted.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. Let's see. Yeah. I'm just seeing what's going on here. try one last thing before I give up on this for the moment.
Season pass 2.
I'm trying to see if the HDMI adapter is showing up on my Wi-Fi network. I don't see it.
Oh.
That's a bummer, because if it was on here, I could probably connect to it and see what's going on. Huh.
Big team battle infection is in the works. That sounds intense.
Oh, that sounds insane.
That sounds intense.
Well, this ruins the surprise significantly. Um, I'm just trying a couple other things before I give up, but it's just orange light blinking.
I will say it is cool seeing the acquired date of shipping Halo. That shit says 12/21, and it's like, damn. Long time ago at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so I need to find my tweezers. Oh, man. Okay. I found instructions to hopefully address my problem. I can just. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to do it from here. Might have to. I might have to open this up. Okay, I'm gonna have to open it up. I am going to go eat lunch, and then I will come back and do the surprise, and then we'll play Halo.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Well, I'll catch you soon.